welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, Wize, and today's guest has spent over 20 years coaching and equipping leaders to build bold, purpose-driven lives and transformative coaches. Dr. Denise Trudeau Poskas is an international speaker, coach, and co-founder of Blue Egg Leadership. She combines neuroscience, communication strategy, positive psychology, and decades of leadership experience to help her clients master communication, time, and mindset while embracing grit and resilience. Let's welcome the Stuck in My Mind podcast, Dr. D.
Hey, hello. It's so good to be here.
Oh, the pleasure's mine. Thank you for being a guest. I
Oh, thank
appreciate your
you.
time. So, Dr. D, what inspired you to leave traditional leadership roles and step into coaching full time?
Oh, great question. Well, I started coaching to be a better leader, actually. And so as I started noticing that it's such a good tool for leadership, I also had people come to me and say, "Can you help my company?" And that started branching out and more than I realized, you know what, maybe I want to remove all formal roles in leadership and simply do coaching. So that was over a decade ago that I said I will do soul coaching. And I loved it ever since.
So, so you've been coaching for over 10 years. What was your first, I know this is my calling moment? Like, what was that moment that you was like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
You know, what's interesting is, so you saw I have a PhD in leadership because I wanted to study to be a better leader, and coaching came about. So that was in 2000 something, and we won't go as far back as how that is. But I looked at coaching as a fluffy thing, and
Mhm.
so I did my dissertation to prove that coaching did not have a framework.
Oh,
Right? So it wasn't like, oh, I feel called to. I feel called to dispute it. And what I found in the research, talking to very, very well qualified, certified coaches, is that, wow, it really does have a framework. And not only that, I started seeing how the tools of active listening, what questions versus why questions, how it really empowers those around you. And I was very interested in transformational leadership, which is all about, intellectual stimulation, getting people empowered, helping them to grow. That's probably then, so after about 10 years using it with my leadership, I was like, this is very powerful and it should go across just what I'm doing to other people. So probably mid 2000, I thought, I'm going to do more of this because I really feel like leadership is so important. And more than that, so many people mix it up with management. And when you're coaching, you cannot manage people. You are leading people, or you're designing an alliance with them to grow. So that's my big turnaround. Is like, oh my gosh, it has a framework. It is powerful. It's a technique, especially certified coaching. I would just clarify that. You have to learn certain skills,
hmm.
and we're not advice giving anymore. It's like a freedom, like just uncover what people need for themselves. There's wisdom. So.
Absolutely. So how did your background in higher education and leadership influence your approach to coaching?
If I think about it, the higher education was, I wanted to prove research based.
Hmm.
So you learn in there that you can't just take it for granted that something can change, a behavior can change. So that influenced me to think about, when I'm coaching, I give baselines inventory, we assess the behavior. I want to make sure people feel through the research that they are truly expanding, expiring, and transforming. So that was probably the biggest piece. The second piece, working in higher ed, running something like a program, you learn a lot of facets of leadership and the politics of people in management, and you really need to be grounded in the being, and the appreciating people to be a really good leader, not just the role or what's the next step. And so stepping away from that and realizing that's what I wanted to bring to coaching was very powerful for me.
So what drew you to neuroscience and communication strategy as tools for
Yeah.
leadership?
Yeah, I love that question. when I started studying just how much people avoid communication, like, or they think like communication means I'm talking to you, therefore I'm communicating. I realized we need to research this some more, and I started exploring neuroscience because they can tell us exactly what our brain is doing in those moments. You know, so there's three brain science now. There's neurobiology. They can inform what is exactly happening in our communication. So from that, I realized that could give me granular ideas with my clients. Like, for example, we say there's trigger words and then there's neuro words. So we start there. What are words that, if you're going to use those, are most likely going to trigger the person across from you? I thought that was very beneficial to have like the insight around that, like kind of like a little nugget of wisdom that we can depend on. And so, as a field has grown, also, so many of those studies is teaching us about the ability, as your podcast talks about in the mind, how so many people just repeat patterns of language creates your pattern of belief, creates your pattern of behavior. I find that fascinating, and that we could break it, right? I just find that, oh, you could break it at any time. I thought that was um,
It's
well informed. Yeah.
it's funny you mentioned trigger word because earlier this year I kind of found one of my trigger words.
Oh, yeah, you did? What did you can you share, like, how did you find that?
It wasn't a good situation.
Okay.
But yeah, I found one of my trigger words, and yeah, and it's okay. So
Yeah.
in January, I had gastric bypass surgery because I was almost
Oh,
400 pounds,
wow.
and so I'm now down to 250.
Amazing.
And so someone at work said something about my weight, but but this was already when I had already lost some weight, and so
Uh-huh.
it triggered me. It got me
Yeah.
upset, and I was like, "Hold on, how you calling me this thing?" And I've lost so much weight. It's like it just kind of like,
Hit you.
yeah,
Yeah. That, I mean, it's a true thing, and what happens is when we get triggered, didn't it, like, sit with you and just kinda make you feel like you couldn't breathe or just
it just
tick you off?
I was just pissed. I was so like because in my mind I'm thinking about like the work I've put into
Yeah.
using like
Validate that.
meat, like eating and changing the way I eat and after surgery and doing all these things. Like I've lost all this weight, and for you to even say something, I was pissed. I was just pissed,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
went off on the person, and then I apologized. But yeah, no, that I discovered one of my trigger words. So
Yeah. Well, what you said is very true, and we get triggered mainly because they're not validating something about us
yeah.
that they probably can't see, but that's why we get triggered.
So what struggles did you face early in building your coaching practice, and how did you overcome that?
Oh, well, people don't think they need coaching, right? Even though they see it in the NFL and all your sports, and it's a very different thing. Um, and now with AI, people are really thinking, "Oh, yep, I can just type something up and it will counsel me," and it won't. So it's really, I was lucky actually because I had started coaching on the side when I was still leading.
Mm,
And so I could run into a six-figure coaching business right off the bat. The but the challenge was also knowing what tools and what certifications were valid for learning. Uh, People say, "Well, you like talking to people, you can coach." It's not true,
oh no.
right? It's not true at all.
Oh, no, I've taken some courses in training
Yeah,
to get certified.
yeah,
That was something I said when I started podcasting and I started setting my goals. Being certified as a coach was one of my goals, and it took me time. It took me to work and study and learn, and like you said, there's certain things you use, there's techniques you use, and things you learn to help guide you along with coaching. So yeah, no, you can't just go. Because I know the work I've put into
yeah,
building what I'm doing. Like I'm helping other people build podcasts, but at the same time, I've I've learned from my experience of building my own podcast, of showing and coaching people how to build shows and how to do different. So yeah, no, I feel you. I understand. Like
Yeah, right.
you can't just say, "Well, I think I'm just going to call myself a coach now."
Yeah. And that has been the theme the last 5 years. You'll see a grow. They said the grow coaching is one of the fastest growing,
Hmm.
but it's not the certified people. It's other people saying, "I'm a consultant now, turn coach." Not like you said, not without the proper skill set. You can't.
Hmm.
It's very different, isn't it? Like, and
Yeah,
you invest in that training,
yeah,
and it's listening at a whole different level. So,
and it's going back and just like it's not easy. It's when you're trying to build something
mm-hmm,
and yeah, you just can't come. Oh yeah, I think I'm just gonna say I'm a coach now.
mm-hmm,
No, and like
right,
you said, everybody, even football coaches,
right,
well, one of the greatest actors in the world, Denzel Washington has admitted that he has a acting coach. You,
continually, right,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the only way you're gonna improve is with someone helping you and critiquing you and showing you like, hey, this is where you can work on this or you can do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
no,
And so you've done that in your business too, I'm sure, right? Where you have to realize sometimes my perspective is, our perspective is limited. We need somebody from the outside to continually work on our blind spots. And that's what the power of, um, coaching is. It's helping us uncover the things we don't necessarily want to uncover, or see the things that we didn't see. And that's a huge skill set for people, and that's why, as you said, you do want to look for a certified coach, because it is a skill set they had to practice, they had to go through it, they had to go through the rigors. They're not just putting a sign, "I am this," because I like people. It's a little more than that. Right, right.
so what role does grit and resilience play in your own story?
uh, well, similar to most people, and you're successful at what you did, probably, when you'll say for the same reason. It took grit. Sometimes when you're just shot down and you're like, "This is BS, and I don't know if I want to do this anymore," there's a part of you that just kicks in gear and says, "I don't care what anybody else thinks. This is something that's important for me to do, and I'm going to do it. Even if I don't know how, I'm going to do it." And it is, even in the midst of, it could be something negative that happens, an event that happens, but grit is that piece that I had to change and adapt from. So it means also, like for me, it was, when you go to from a leadership role, like a formal leadership role, you kind of have that little credibility where you walk in a place. And grit says you don't need the role, you just need to be
Yeah.
and show up the best you can, and keep the ego out of the way, because our egos, I think, they love to play the game, don't they? They love to come into the arena with us. So
Mhm.
that's grit. Resilience is getting slammed down one time after another. So for example, like when I started the business, it was 6 figures rolling, right? But it was all referral. There's a time where we're going to hit a wall on that. There just is a time, and I hit that after 3 years, and then it was kind of like bored with what I was doing. I was doing emotional intelligence, and it's still very powerful. Don't get me wrong, it's very powerful. But we do need to know when we need the next challenge. And I always think resiliency is when something just, you hit a wall and you're like, "I'm going to either have to get really good at something new, or I'm going to have to pivot here some way." And that was me after 3 years. Like, actually, I like this neuroscience piece, and loving science. I thought no one was studying it at the time in coaching. I thought it's just my path. I'm going to be fascinated. Keep emotional intelligence. Um, so resilience is really not looking at, well, like, what is everybody else doing? What am I informed or excited about learning as it applies to, in this case, coaching or in leadership? But I don't know if you've had those times where people did something or said something in leadership, and you're like on the outs. That's, you have to be able to say, what do I learn here? What do I lean into, and what am I going to let go? And that's my mantras for resiliency, and that's what I teach my clients too. Whatever entrepreneur field they're in, we're going to need resiliency because the responsibility lies on us to
Yeah.
keep growing, right? Right? No
Hmm.
one else is going to rescue our businesses.
Yep. So tell us about Blue Egg Leadership. Where did the name and vision come from?
The name is based in color psychology. So I'm going to tell you the vision is not as flamboyant or flashy as you would want it to be. It was very kind of boring. I was speaking and I came back and I was just jogging out and I gravel road in the middle of nowhere because I didn't know where I was at the time. And I started thinking about a book title called "The Blue Egg and the Lion," and it was a juxtaposition on things. So, and I thought, you know what? Actually, blue egg, when you look at color psychology, it has a good ring to it for a business because blue, the color psychology means calm, clear, assertive. Egg, if you look in the Greek terminology of what an egg is, it means unlimited potential to be tapped to continually grow.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, I never wrote the book. Got inspired and left it there. But I did use the blue egg together. I pulled the lion out because I thought that's too much. People are not going to understand courage
Yeah.
piece. So that's how boring it was, but it worked. Right.
Yeah, it worked. Exactly how you just said it worked. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so what is the SALC approach, and how does it work in practice?
So the SALT method is here's the thing with clients come to or business all have to face mastering our time and energy. That is like our foundation, right? So SALT, that's your structures. They change as you grow. You need to change with them, right? The second thing is, how do you lead a team? If solopreneurs would be leading their self, and a leader, it's leading yourself and a team. So that's your attitude and your leadership. Like, how do you keep working on your mind game? Always, always the mind game. Would you say that is a big part of it? Leadership, of course, is we really like the concept of people taking responsibility for the ripple effect in their cultures of their companies. So if their company is 1 to 20 million, that's anywhere from teams of 3 to 40. That's who we love playing the game with because they really resonate with that. So the leadership is they're still doing their growth mindset. They keep doing that so that they can communicate with neural language better and better with their teams. And exponentially that leads right to the creative compassion piece. That means I care as much about my team as the business profitability. They go hand in hand, they're together. So my C's are my contribution, my compassion, and my courage to lead and to expect the people around me to grow and continue to grow. It's kind of a framework.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how does your team phenomenon model work? Help leaders build powerful teams.
Well, so we start. This is always funny because you've heard of other entrepreneurs, but they always think they're going to fix someone else. In a team, they got to fix that person. There's a book called "Fix Difficult People," or that person was, something about help difficult people, and that just personified that the problem is out there. Um, our phenomenon says the problem starts with you, but you get to be a better leader. So we say lead wherever you are, lean into the conversation, and let go of the frustration. And when we talked about neuroscience earlier, there's so much. If I am frustrated and I don't process that, everybody else that's in the room is going to feel that. That's just the way mirror neurons work. That we're just connected with people. And so what we say is that what you want to do is help people be accountable, but make sure it's not personalized. Make sure it's very objective. This is what needed to be done. This is when it will need to be done. And this is what it will look like. Not you failed to do this. I don't know if I can trust you and blah, blah, blah. That we get it very personalized versus an objective. this is what is clearly the path for you to succeed. So that phenomenon teaches emotional intelligence. At the core, it's like emotional intelligence, which is how do we deal with other people, how do we deal with ourselves, how do we make decisions, and how do we have well-being. And then from that, we use the SALT method of having compassion for people to grow. And that means holding them accountable and making sure the right people are in the right roles. Some people just really want to do so well for teams, and they're, you've met that person. They can do really well, but it takes all their energy in that field. And people sometimes will keep them in there. What we say is find their unique ability and let them lean into that. Don't have them do everything. Don't trust that they know themselves well enough to say, yes, this will be my job. I will do this well. Really give them opportunities for self-awareness, whether it's like a Myers-Briggs inventory, Kirsty Sorter, Strengths Find. There's like a ton of tools that we'll bring to the table, just because when people become more aware of their strengths, they're going to unleash those in your company, in their team, right? And I suppose a third thing really important is helping them have a culture of how they're going to speak to each other. What is not allowed. Like we talked about trigger words. We really work on, they get a page of trigger words and a page of not trigger words that they can start off with, right? So it's really about not projecting your pain onto other people. It's about uncovering what they're curious about, using language that supports them. Even if you're frustrated, it's like to have that conversation with them directly, not other people. So we really study on transparency with perception, which means this is how I'm feeling. This is my perception of what happened. I want to uncover that with you, or I want to clear that up with you, versus you did this and I didn't do this. It's really understanding that you've heard that Albert, well, however we see the world is how we see the world. Whatever we believe about the world, we believe about the world, we see the world. So we really have them step back and say, so remember, this is a perception. Not everybody's going to have the same view as you. How do you honor that in that teaching cult or team and teaching culture? And you'll find that there's the more we study that, the synergy goes up as there's camaraderie. And now, more than ever, there's so many disconnected people that when they get to know that there's a safety in that team, there's somebody has their back, that people are going to talk with respect, it's just literally unlimited how much they can grow.
Yeah. So you've coached leaders in Fortune 500, healthcare, higher ed, and more. What
Mm.
challenges are universal across all industries?
Let's see. I'm picturing that. One, I think the challenge is if the company thinks it's a person and they have only this much time to fix themselves, right? And they're not really buying into the system that we are going to invest people in their growth and support that. Um, that's a continual issue because people will invest in, they learn this knowledge, right? Easily, they'll learn a new computer skill, they'll learn a new technical skill, because it's very, to them, they think that's very measurable. They learned it, they passed it, they have it. The challenge with coaching is that people perceive that there should be a deadline on that. And coaching actually is a discovery. It's uncovering for people their awareness of themselves and their awareness of other people within themselves. And so sometimes the challenge would be, well, you have 6 months, fix this person, versus you have 6 months, let's see what we can uncover, help that person transpire, and let's give them a personal leadership development plan. We're all about that. But it shouldn't be secular. It should be connected to a bigger piece. Does that make sense? So sometimes they'll say, you have one person, fix that person, and hopefully they'll have a ripple effect on 40 people,
Mhm.
right? That's not necessarily how that works, because they're learning as they are leading, and they still need support of other people learning some of those tools, right?
So, yeah. So, how do you help clients master communication, time, and mindset in real practical ways?
real practical ways. So let's take, and we dig into those, and Stroke of Genius is our mastermind. We'll dig into each of those. They correlate, don't they? I mean, they do. Time and energy. And so we'll start with something and based in neuroscience that our brains love three. And so to map our time, what we do is one, two, three. The highest impacts that you want to have in the day, you put them at the beginning of the day. You don't fill a little checklist, right? You do a capture list. So you're thinking about what I'm going to do for this week. And then you do the high impact. That means they have a high impact on your business. That's my clients. So they have a high impact on your business. Then there is high impact, high energy. That's still yours because it's a it's something you're learning. But then you have these whole bunch of the things that entrepreneurs love to play with. This is low impact. I'm going to do some social media right now, but it's not their game. Or low impact, high cost. I'm going to try to do some of my own accounting. So what we do is first shape what your brain really works well with, which is not checklists. It's about focusing on three big things. And then the other thing would be they learn what we call time based, where you put the same thing together, like emails together. If you're creating something, you put that together. Your mind works better on that. So those are some how we introduce. They literally have a formula and a time tracking piece that they can plug in, and it watches them because most high achievers overschedule themselves. And then, right, then they feel bad because I didn't get that done. Then I'll do this. And they continually do that. So it's really a big change that we're not having you overschedule anything. We're looking for high impacts and then we'll chunk the other ones, right?
Yeah.
That helps them master energy. So master an energy is around coaching tools. Probably the most powerful one I created that people really resonate with is called the three circles. But they'll take an event. So I had a new client this morning. They had taken the event that has got him triggered, and you know how that feels. Oh my gosh, and he got triggered Friday, and he was still triggered on the call. And so you take the event that you were triggered with, and you process it. So the first circle is what's the data? What was the thing said or the information? Like date is the data. It happened outside. It happened inside. But there's no interpretation in the first one. The
Yeah.
second one, what's your interpretation? So you write it out, and your subconscious will like throw a whole bunch of things you didn't realize. I felt like because they said that, I was rejected. I felt like I failed as a business person. These are some things that came up for him.
Mm.
And then finally, the third circle is we have to cross off anything not helpful. Because if it's not helpful, it's going to be a hindrance. It's going to put us in what we call a stuck cycle. And a stuck cycle is a very, very demoralizing thing for a business person, but they get stuck in these stuck cycles quite often. So what you do is you cross it off, and your brain will see that you have crossed it off. It takes the emotion out and says, okay, there's got to be other options. So the third circle is anything that gives you compassion, compelling, taking action, and allowing you to reset. You can rewrite it in there. So the interpretation is instead of I failed as a business person, I'm learning from this event as I speak, which is true. He learned from this person leaving them just like that. I am learning already that I need to do something differently here. So by the time they get to the third circle, they have processed it, not stuck it down. They have processed it, and it builds resilience in the brain because the brain says, okay, now I know how to go back to my higher brain and say, let's solve this because it's not just about me. It's about the bigger piece that we're doing here in our business. So those are some examples. Like I said, we also use inventories for self-awareness. We use a lot of different coaching tools in the moment. They love reflection. They don't, but they love forgiveness letters. That's probably the worst thing they hate, but it's the most powerful. Forgiveness letters are very important. And of course, you don't send them, but
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite. If they're stuck, I'll have them do a forgiveness letter. And either they'll get unstuck so they don't have to do the forgiveness letter, or they'll do the forgiveness letter and they'll find something really clever that was hidden underneath. It's just fascinating. It's fascinating what our subconscious will do.
So what do you believe the future leadership looks like in a rapidly changing world?
Well, I can tell you how I hope it would look like.
Okay.
I really hope it looks like, because the research keeps showing depression is higher and higher, right? People, 60% of people spend their day in distraction. They're spending 23 minutes trying to get back to their first original thing that they were doing. 70% of executives, even in small companies, talk about being burned out. So, my hope is that everything just focuses a little better on the merit of contribution,
Mm.
contribution to our team, contribution to myself, care about ourselves. And they do utilize coaching and or some form of that therapy so people can uncover these old patterns that keep them stuck talking to each other in a negative way or not being held accountable. But instead of making a policy, they make a practice to respect each other, a practice to endorse the other person, a practice to learn how to do acknowledgement. That would be a wonderful way if that leadership would go, that they decide to, we're going to be leadership, not management. And there we're going to, right? We're going to take on um, a transformative way. Even if it takes a little more investment, they care enough that they think about like a transformational leadership culture. It's so powerful when they do that. That's where I would hope it goes, that it keeps growing in that coaching or even, cognitive behavior therapy grows in interaction, not just reading about it. That's not going to change a behavior or a practice, but really they take that more seriously and utilize it as an asset to build a powerful team.
Okay. But for someone who's listening who feels stuck in leadership, what's the first step to shift?
Well, I would like to share that I created an assessment that really has helped my clients start with figuring out where should I even start? Because about we did a focus group and we found out like 8 out of 9 people assessed where they were wrong incorrectly. So we created a stuck cycles inventory. So you can take it, we made it a short version, stuckcycles.com, but you take that and figure out what is the area that is the stuck right now, right? And we take that piece and say, okay, so most people say I'm in burnout, but they actually really probably aren't. They might be in emotional flatlining or in the perfectionism loop. And so what we do is take that and say that's the state that you're stuck in. We'll move you into, now let's look at your business. What part of that with the operational risk assessment? But when they realize, hey, this does happen to people, and if I diagnose it, if I take this inventory, I can diagnose it, and they can even do the inventory for free, and it'll give you 1 or 2 steps to take. I mean, just to get people started.
Okay.
Um, and it will say specifically, take these steps for that area, and people feel more validated that they realize this happens to high achievers. They get in stuck cycles,
Mm.
and on average, stuck cycle stands about 6 to 8 months because we misdiagnosed it. So this will say, "Hey, get started on this path. Feel hopeful because it's not you; it's just your brain. It's not your fault." Um, and you have a lot of resources to get started on that path.
Awesome. So how do leaders create that environment
Oh, yeah.
based on how do the kind of leaders create that environment of synergy and optimism for their team?
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go to the fact that on all of my work, I found the first thing you do is you start with emotional intelligence, like inventory, not an over the counter self diagnosis book, but like right, really get an assessment of where your team is at and yourself. Like, where do you rate on this EQI?
Hmm.
Because then you're going to know the gaps. It's just nice to have data to help you instead of just, I think I'm doing this. I always say find the data that will support the path. So starting there, they can get a coach to do it. There's people that just take them like and that's all they do is give you the EQI. So I do the bar on EQI. It's probably the most research widely valid one. And so let's just get that baseline of where are people at. And in there, the first action to take is create a culture code. And by that, I mean, how are you guys going to support each other? What are the words you're going to use? And what is the phrases that our culture is about? Like innovative capacity, resilience through challenge. Like, what are the phrases that say this is how we show up for each other? Even if you're not showing up for it now, but where do you want to go? That's the vision. Where do we want to go? And the third thing is when you start mapping that, how are we going to get there? Who's going to help us with that? Are we going to start reading something about it? That's a cheap, a very inexpensive way, read a great book like The Mountain Is You or Brene Brown's, Daring Greatly. It's a start. It's something, right?
Yeah, of course. That's
Right.
start
So,
somewhere.
yeah. And so commit to being a growth minded culture. So that would mean you guys learning to do something together, whether it's starting with a book, it's hiring a coach to do, like we do a lot of programs within a company and then they can take the program over. But it is, so it's knowledge, which people find easy to get, and that's where they stop. Then there's application, the practice, which is uncomfortable. And then, of course, discovery. It means, wow, we all practice and now we talk to each other very differently. And hey, I have insight. And so those are the first three steps that are so powerful for any leader. And they can do it at whatever level, but just start with those three steps. It's a very good platform to begin from.
So what's next for you in Blue Egg Leadership? Books, programs, new projects?
Yeah, I love that. So I am doing more international speaking. I started some of that like 15 years ago, but I'll do more of that. But Blue Egg in general, have a program called Stroke of Genius that we're inviting national, international entrepreneurs, anywhere from 1 to 20 million, that just want the whole tool set. We have a community environment. They have a little extra trainings in there. We're really excited about it because it's a live community and it's a mastermind every Monday, 3 times a month. And they stay with us. Sometimes they're there a year, sometimes they're 2 years, sometimes it's 6 months. So we revamped that using that online community program called School. You probably heard of that. Love it. I finished my first book and it's coming out middle October, called Bounce, The Hidden Power of Disappointment. And starting my next one, I think it's called Defragging the Ego, which will be fascinating. And we are launching mini retreats. Some entrepreneurs are just starting out and they just need 3 to 4 hours to generate some hope and some ideas. So we have mini retreats happening. October Halloween is our Stuck Cycle one, and then November 5th is our Find Your Soul Path, which again, they're virtual, so anybody can attend, but they're very engaging. And it's not like showing up on a Zoom and having your camera off. You are there, you're engaged, you get pre-information, you're coached in a moment. So we do our cultures for our mindsets very well, even if they're virtual. So we're very proud of that. So those are some programs that we're unveiling to help more and more entrepreneurs, because I really feel like they're going to need it this year and on. They're really going to hit some economic cycles, some things that are happening out there. They really need to be in a mastermind with other people to promote that resiliency, spontaneity, but also hope. Like hope I can do something and it's going to make a big difference.
That's amazing because I'm actually working on having a retreat here.
Oh,
But next year, I'm getting all the details together, and the goal is for next fall is to have a 3 to 4 day retreat with
nice.
podcasters where I have and like it's amazing that I've built some amazing great relationships with people, and when I've told them about it, they're like, oh, so I'm coming to speak, right? So a lot
Yeah.
of my friends are coming, they're volunteering themselves, like, hey,
Yeah.
I want to be a part of this. This is something that's major and definitely want to be a part. So
Yeah. That is huge.
I'm blessed to have, and they're all like, tell me what you need me to help you do, get this going. So I've
That
already.
says a lot about you then, doesn't it? That says a lot that they are like, they already know that the potential is so powerful. And would you say people need people? I mean, people want those 3-day retreats in person, and eventually we'll get to those, but because they need a community. They need to be in person with people. There's too much times when they're not,
Listen,
right?
virtual's been great for me. It's helped me build my
Yes.
platform, and it's helped me connect with so many different people. But yeah, you like you said, you need those moments where you need to connect with somebody
Yeah.
and just do and be able to do something like and have that interaction where you're working together.
Yeah. Unplug. That's what I like about the 3-day retreats. And we've done those and we'll do one next year, hopefully international. But what's so wonderful is you're telling them to unplug from all those things.
Mhm.
Come here, and there anything's possible in those retreats because they're in a new environment. There's no anchors.
Yeah.
You're telling them what's possible, and then they're also connecting with other people, which is so powerful. So I'm excited to hear that you're doing that. That's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm gonna reach out to sponsors, have because I want to set up locations where they can collaborate and record together. And it's gonna be
Wow.
so many different things. Gonna have workshops on how to build your podcast if you don't have one, or if you already have one. I have people who do marketing. I have people who do their so
Nice.
it's amazing. And like I said, a lot of them already like, hey, I'm coming down to speak, right? And one of the reasons
Nice.
also was gives me an opportunity also. It builds myself a platform for where I can go do my speaking and talking and put myself out there and give myself a so it was a
Credibility.
yeah,
Yeah.
it gave me a lot of just different things. It was just such when it hit me because it was a friend we had a great someone I recorded a show with. She had gone to a retreat and she told me about it. I'm like, man, we could really use something like that here on the East Coast, and we don't like a lot of the podcasting events are going on in Florida and Texas, and like here in Northeast, we don't really be having anything. I would love to put something together where at least 20, 50, 20 to 25 people, 30 podcasters come together and just build and grow together.
That would be so powerful, and like you said, it's much needed there. Needing help with scaffolding retreats. I'm a natural at it. It's fun, but um, yeah. So that's cool that you had an insight and a vision, and now you're making it happen.
Yeah,
Right? Isn't that so powerful as an entrepreneur? And it's a platform that you can not only share and help other people, but it would give back to you as your own entrepreneur. More people get to know you and the gift that you bring, and they're like, oh, I don't maybe want to do this, but can we do that?
yeah,
Right. Very
absolutely.
nice. Very cool.
So what legacy do you want your work to leave for future generations of leaders?
I always say my mission statement is to unlock people's soul, that it's just been covered. That's not to find it. It's just uncover it and let them be their best self here and on their time that they're here. Um, that's what I'm passionate about, leaders too, and the work I do. My clients work hard sometimes on themselves. They really do. But the reward is when 10 of them are in a room talking about and just feeling that awe of, I led with highest intention. It wasn't about me. It was about the people. That's a legacy I would love for people to lean into and really embrace. Stay in alignment with your best self. Like,
Awesome.
get out of everybody else's lane.
So we've come to the part of the show where you get the solo screen and you get to plug away and let everybody know where they can find you, your website, everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I would love for you guys to have a gift of, just as entrepreneurs or high achievers, to assess where might you be stuck. So go to stuckcycles.com. It's right now it's a free assessment. It costs you nothing, takes 5 minutes. And in there it'll say, let's start with this. You'll feel so much more better about, like, you have a starting place. You can also go ahead to go to Blue Egg Leadership and click on a discovery call. I would love to have a conversation with you. blueeggleadership.com, if you are ready for that. Again, stuckcycles.com is something for you to self take. It's a free inventory. Or if you're ready to talk to me and see how I can help you, go to blueeggleadership.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show and we'll chat a little bit off the air because I definitely want to have you back when you write your other book and you can come promote that as well. But
Thank you.
thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You're awesome. I'll tell you. You're such a got a good space about you, don't you?
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. You too.
All right, everybody. Another great episode is in the books. I greatly appreciate everybody who's catching the live, or if you're going to catch the replay, please, if you haven't subscribed, please do. I greatly appreciate it. If Dr. D's wisdom spoke to you, go visit blueeggleadership.com to learn more about her work and resources. And if you're a leader or aspiring to be one, remember this: your inner work fuels your outer impact. Share this episode with a friend or colleague who's ready to step into bold, authentic leadership. Stay bold, stay synergized, stay wise. You know, your boy Wize does it. Peace out.